Go through it now, fully divorced, which would be correct. So, if there's any pretty ladies out there, I'm on the market again. Do you remember that film, Free Willy? Still some films a bit bent like that? Well, mine's nearly up right now, just better than mine. You, man?
I got that t-shirt about 20 years ago, so it's actually an affinity we're getting used to. I'll be giving you some tips for once.
Unreal. Now, you two have obviously both had fantastic careers in the British Touring Car Championship for many, many years. The simplest question that I can begin with is, what do you think the best car is that you drove during that time at BTCC? I think I know what yours is going to be.
I have to go back to the old Super Touring days of the 90s, and the cars were very light, they were agile, they were on the edge, and you had to really work in there. And you know, the modern day cars, they're too heavy, they're too cumbersome by comparison, and the technology, people, you know, email in or write in and they say, oh, what parts were you running on the 1998 Nissan Primera, blah blah blah, P whatever it was, 7, 11, 10. 11. And I go, well, do you want to know what race? Because the speed of development was that fast. Not what you started to finish wasn't what you finished the season was. It was literally race by race by race. You were changing updates from water-cooled magnesium calipers to, you know, the brakes and everything. You know, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
And again, like you say, it developed so quickly that the cars looked very different, even in just a couple of years, didn't it? Because from, say, 1991 to 1995, when the wings and things started coming in and Alfa Romeo started playing games, it all just aerodynamically went mental, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, echoing what Matt said, my favourite car by a long way will be running very good. Probably the 97 car, because that was.
And it was innovation because, you know, you think, you know, your engineers and designers could think outside the box, and when now that is just slapped on. But that was ingenuity, and someone got the edge on you. You didn't like it, but it was all part of the game.
And also the engines, by and large, were all the same. I mean, if you look back at the Super Touring car and you look at the cars on the straights, you know, if you lost, you get a bit more. I am, but I'm going to pretend I'm not. You get the cars on the straights. If you lost 6 inches in a straight line, then it'd be hell. Nowadays, with Alan Gow, you know, upstairs, I like him now to a DJ in the booth, and he's got his sliders. He's just push you up a bit. It's a bit of a nonsense now, because I like Tom Ingram, but at some points last year's entry was off the scale. And that's not right, it shouldn't be like that. So back in the day, you had to fight for every millimetre of track.
Was it the year with Williams that you did 50 engines in 1 year, you and Alan?
Yes.
50. Yeah, in fact, they got it warming up.
We did 1 engine at Old Park, just starting it up.
What budget?
Yeah, and honestly, it come from the engine builders. It'd been on the dyno, and then they kicked in the teeth and he just threw a leg out of bed.
That's French engine builders, what you meant.
Well, that was the thing back then, though. The tolerances were so narrow, weren't they? Like, everything was pushed right to the limit. I mean, even when you look at the cars from 98 to 99, the wheels were so close to the arches all the time. You know, one thing went wrong with the suspension, and the race was over, wasn't it? Because it was all right to that limit.
Well, I mean, in fact, when we had that chat with Johnny Smith a little while ago.
That's epic, by the way. If you've not watched that on YouTube, go and watch it. I'm very jealous right now of the fact that he's done that before me.
But you couldn't actually, because everything was so tight and the aero was efficient, you couldn't really knock into each other, really.
No, the cars were very fragile, and you know, they say, oh, you were all thugs in the 90s. No, we weren't. You know, it was gentle little touches, because if you did smack into the people, which is what stressed me at the end of my BTC career, is they would just career into you, and you go, what are you doing, you idiot? But the modern day cars were built to be almost indestructible.
Yeah,
when they were yours. But you go back to how low.
Yeah, not like you didn't try to.
I was wondering when he was going to bring that up. No, but back to the Super Touring, you say how low. I can remember the front wheel arches, they were spring loaded. So as you turned, they would come out, and even by the end of a race, you'd burn a hole, the tyre would burn a hole through because the gauge in the metal was that thin. So you'd be replacing the front fenders literally every race.
Chance of qualifying tyres.
Oh,
Honestly, God, they brought 2 qualifying tyres. I mean, I don't know. were the qualifying tyres in for 97? I think they were. And you put this, you never get to run on the qualifying tyre until qualifying. So then they strap these things on the car and they say, look, you need to go slow on the outlap because obviously you'll damage the tyre. And it was only good for not even a whole lap. And Druids saying on Park, normally it's a little squeeze of the brake down to 5th. It was a lift in 6th. The difference was enormous. And you just had to go, I'll try this.
And Druids is a real commitment corner as well. There's a dip on the way into it, then you've got the crest on the exit. There's a lot going on in just one corner out there, isn't there?
I mean, they were great.
They were good. I mean, at Thruxton, if anyone who's driven Thruxton, they'd say, right, you've got to go super slow on your outlap, and then literally it was like ground effects, but then you didn't know whether the tyre would still be in as you were approaching the chicane and for the end of that qualifying lap, and you've got to be brave. And you're looking for tense. So it was there.
It was quite a well-known circuit for killing tyres, Thruxton, wasn't it? Because it was built on an old airfield. It was very abrasive, and I remember even back in like the later Super Touring days when they started with Class B, even Class B cars ended up pitting because the whole gimmick with them was that they didn't need to stop. And then they had to force them to pit.
I think the big problem around there is you have to use the curbs to do a quick lap. And if you've got a soft tyre because it's cold, because we're not allowed tyre heaters, you can damage it in the first 2 laps.
Again, it's something he and I and the likes of Colin Turkington were pitching because obviously the tyre manufacturers don't want to see on TV their tyres falling apart. It's bad for business and all the rest of it. But we said the modern tyre is too good. It's bulletproof. And so you get the thugs. It doesn't separate the elite drivers from the good drivers, from the average drivers. And so they can just go on it from the first lap when there's got to be some management, there's got to be some skill to get into the end of the race.
I think I've seen you, Jason, describe it before as having a performance profile. It's like a spike. You have to keep it at the point of that rather than it just be a plateau where you can kick its head in for half an hour.
Exactly that. It took real skill.
It's my favourite phrase.
And feel to operate on the top of their product. That's why we got paid the big money in the others didn't.
So do you feel that?
I wasn't listening to a word you said.
What's new?
Right, so that's how it's going to be then, isn't it?
One thing you both eventually drove in the BTCC was estate cars. Matt with the Civic, you had the Tourer, and then you ended up in the Livorg, even though it was banana shaped after.
Do you know what? I never forget. It was at the NEC and you revealed that thing, and I took the piss. Here in an estate car, and then a few years later, I wheeled on it.
Yeah, you ended up with one.
And he took the piss. And then he saw where we put the engine.
I was going to say it was mid-engine that basically wanted that thing, but when the teams and the manufacturers come to you with ideas like that, do you ever look at a car when they're releasing it and you think, really? Has there ever been a time where you thought, not sure about this?
At Dynamics, because we had a long relationship with Honda, it's trying to keep the manufacturer engaged. And there's obviously people in any business or organisation who are pro racing, and there's people who aren't, and you're trying to get them across, you try and win them over. And we won a lot at the beginning of the NGTC era, the next generation era, and so we were trying to look at what Honda were bringing out on the road and seeing whether we can convert that to bring interest and extra customers for them. So it's actually us who promoted putting the Tourer. The fact that it was actually a standard Civic chassis and we just bolted all the bits onto it.
You're joking.
Oh yeah, I mean, the car was mega.
Built a conservatory on it.
It should have won that year, but the year we brought it out, but it politically didn't fit. I mean, their thing was so ridiculous it couldn't not win in the end. But ours, it should have won. I mean, it was a mega piece of kit.
Do you remember you when it went Volvo?
Don't touch me.
He's put a bit of weight on it, hasn't he? Do you remember when Volvo produced the 850?
There's one over there.
But is it true that, because I wasn't in to a touring car, so is it true that the media day was the first time all the competitors saw it? Like when it was wheeled out?
I don't know, I can remember because Gordon Flash's engineer, Eddie Hinckley, he was in one of the original designers on it. And he said, Walkinshaw walked in and they got their first prototype car and he said, right, I want the engine back. Because anyone who's seen a Super Touring car in real life, the engines are all tucked back under there and under the bulkhead. And so he said, apparently Walkinshaw walked into the design studio and they got this call, and he lifted the bonnet and goes, "I told you, I want the engine down there."
No way.
Yeah, and they had to totally go back to the drawing board and restart again.
Unreal, but there is one over there actually. It's
It's a lucky like that, thank you.
Oh, is it?
South.
Well, that's me fooled. That is me absolutely fooled. In terms of drivers, how do you think the BTCC compares to how it was?
Well, apparently these days it's moved on.
That's it.
That's what Tom Ingram has said to both me and Matt. He said, "Oh, we've moved on from your day."
Is that because he's copying your hairstyle and stuff?
Do you know what? There's some good drivers there. It's a bit thin on the ground compared to what
There's
it
less
used to
cars
be.
now, isn't there? There's 24 or 27
I don't
instead of
think it's
32.
happening, if I'm honest. I don't think so. But you know, at the sharp end, it's still world class. You know, Ash is very, very tasty.
Yeah.
So's Ingram. Jake Hill,
Jake
very
is
fast,
class act.
and really improved over the last 18 months actually.
Yeah, I think he needed that because, I mean, from a fan perspective of it, you know, watching Jake, I always felt like he was the sort of the driver that would get near it and be sort of one of those ones that's remembered as a driver that didn't win a championship but should have. And I think it was good for him and a lot of the sport to see him actually do it.
Absolutely, and also, you know, if you think about the way that Jake is and the way he drives, you need someone that's over the top and a bit over the edge to bring them back a bit. It never works the other way. You can't lift someone up. You need someone that's got real fire in their belly, and Jake does, and he's a brilliant driver.
One of my criticisms of the modern sport is, back in the day, you had to do your dues and earn your respect. And you know, back in the Super Touring, everybody driver in there was a champion of something else, even the independents.
Yeah, you've gone up the ladder.
And by going up that ladder year by year, you learn your craft. Some years you've got good cars, some years you've got bad cars. Now they've got a big budget, and they just fast track straight in from
Danceport their way in.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be critical, but that's not right. And so you do get these lads in, they look at, that's the way you drive, you just smash into them. And you go, what are you doing? Because it's not, there's a finesse involved.
Yeah. And the other thing is the team owners, the team managers, they won't bollock their drivers like we used to get bollocked. Why? Because Dad's paying the bill. So they never learn anything from the boss. You know, I remember all the way through my career getting bollocked by Tim Butler.
I was going to say, but was there a time when it wasn't?
Yeah, but being pulled in to see Patrick Head and being given which is a scary thing, let me tell you, and being properly dressed down. You need that. You need that. You need to
told off by Eddie Jordan.
Sorry?
You got told off by Eddie Jordan once, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Very, very sternly told off by Eddie.
We went spastic.
I think that was something outside race he was weighing off the side of his boat in Monaco.
Probably,
yes.
No, it wasn't that. I mean, I have done that, but not DJ's boat. No, it's an interesting story actually, because I was, let me try and remember this now. That was it.
It was to do with the Williams thing, wasn't it?
No, it was to do with Martin Donnelly had approached me and said, look, come and do Vauxhall Lotus with me. And I said, oh, do you know what, I'm working on an F3 deal. And anyway, I called him Eddie, thought this is a great opportunity to speak to Eddie and said, look, can I have some advice? Martin's been on the phone, wants me to do Vauxhall Lotus with him, and I've got this F3 potential, what should I do? And he basically said, go to Martin, because they're Irish lads, they look after each other. And I didn't, I went the other way, I went to F3, and then I thought, oh, I'm at Silverstone, got a test on the day after, I'll go and not knocking at his door and introduce myself. And he came down he went the stairs in the fourth flight, effing and blinding at me, because he'd gotten in the net from Martin, thinking Eddie's told him, and Mitch, I'll let him come in. And I remember having a proper ruckus. Told me to do this.
I was going to say more like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and his wig slipped. Another thing, see, this is a true story. God bless him. His younger friend who passed away last year. He bought Eddie's house in Oxford. And in Eddie's wardrobe, there was 3 busts, 3 heads, where he put his wigs. And he kept them there. Churchill kept them there. I mean, that's hilarious, isn't it? But have we ever seen him with the wig off? I don't think anybody has.
Even when he was jumping around at Spa when they won in the wet in '98.
Ah, he's got a proper glue on, though, hasn't he?
Really. You two ended up as teammates actually, though, didn't you, Matt? In 2002 for one race in Ascot, I believe. You two were teammates.
Did you kick my ass? I think you did, didn't you?
I kicked your ass in qualifying, you kicked mine in the race.
That's it. Is that politically correct?
No.
They were horrible, weren't they? Did you like it?
No, I thought it was just going round and round, and it wasn't. It was quite hard. We all had these aspirations of going to NASCAR before then, and I went, okay, we're not going to do that one then.
It scared the living daylights out of me, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
Because the car feels ugly until it's up on its toes. But
it's
ugly, you're averaging 148. On its toes, you're averaging 150, and it feels a bit nice. But I didn't like to go through that. Well, it's going to kill me. You just have to keep going and going and going.
It's trusting in the camber of the circuit as well, isn't it, with some of the back turns.
And there's quirky things. They run these Detroit locking diffs. So when you're off the throttle, the inside wheel, free wheels,
still goes,
free wheels, and the outside wheels still driven. So you would literally go into the corner too fast, like you're going to understeer off. You'd lift,
and it's still pitch.
Pick it in. You're still going to go off, and then you get back on the throttle to turn it. So it's a back to front thing.
It's a crazy bit of kit.
You've got to be a redneck to drive them, I think.
Yeah.
And they or a church goer. And me and Matt neither. Oh no, you don't go to church, did you?
Actually, there was a story because when I was last, Shane Van Gisberg, who's done an amazing job. If anyone follows NASCAR, because I know Roland, and well as you know Roland, and he got his first crack, which was 2 years ago, 18 months ago,
Detroit, the street circuit.
In the street circuit, which was a perfect storm because they're not used to, they'd never driven in the wet before. It was a wet race, and then he got paid $25,000 to go and do that race by the team, which was great. He's happy. He goes and wins the race, and there was a $7 million prize fund for the race.
Oh my God!
And the team went, "Thank you very much."
No, they
saved you 25 grand. Yeah, 100%.
No.
But they gave him a drive for the following year, and so he's done all right out of it.
Well, I mean,
he was pretty wounded at the time, I've got to tell you.
I mean, he'd be used to driving high-powered rear-wheel drive cars that don't want to go in a straight line anyway, but supercars is mental. Have either of you ever driven anything like that?
Oh, we've got that, yes. I mean, they're amazing. Properly.
You're talking to the person who destroyed Peter Brock's career.
Oh, no, his career's over.
You shared a car with him, didn't you?
No, yes, I did. In 2005.
Yes.
Honestly, I needed security. I kid you not.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't my fault. It was
of course.
that prick Clement. It wasn't my fault, but I thought it was off the track.
Because didn't he end up on his roof?
Yeah. I was 3/4 of the way off the track. It was still only getting yellows.
Jason ended up on his roof.
No,
Clearly
was it? Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah. Another foot forward, I'll be dead. Honest to God,
he hit at the side of it, that aggressive.
Fortunately, he didn't where the rear door was, and the B pillar saved me. Had it been a foot forward, that'd be game over. So anyway, I think it was the first stint. I locked up the right front, left front, right front, and not puncture. But just as across the start finish line, trying to,
It's a long old lap.
Slowly get back, and I was right off the line. They'd come past me twice. And then we get to the chase, it's at the end of the Conrod Straight. And I'm 100 yards to the pit entry, and I'm way over to the left, way off the race around. And John thought there was an opportunity to have a look. He just basically pulled out straight beside me, flat chatting fourth gear. And obviously old age is getting the better of me now, so I can't remember why I'm telling that story.
I mean, back then, you go back 20 years ago, we were doing V8s, because a few of us went over there, but it was good. It's how the world has changed, because back then, the supercar fans, you realised why we shipped their ancestors down there 200 years ago. Wasn't it? No, you didn't go up on the hill. No. And
it is tribal, isn't it?
I was always home. And they said, because the fans would never mix, because they hated each other.
Well, Jeremy Clarkson described it as a massive fist fight between Ford and Holden fans, and in the middle of motor race breaks.
Well, I was told if you break down or crash or anything, and you're in front of Ford fans, don't get out of the car.
Yeah. Well,
They'll
it's all been
just
done.
stone you, and if they realise there's a bomb in the car, then they're really going to kick you.
I broke down an electrical fault in the workshop Holden at Reed Park, which is the Ford area.
Yeah, right at the top of the hill.
And they said, don't get out of the car. And I went, oh, yeah, okay. And then full beer cans were hitting the windscreen. Full beer cans. Australians throwing away full beer.
I mean, it wasn't beer, was it? It's whatever they drink.
Yeah, Foster's. But that's bad, isn't it? Like full beer cans.
That's outrageous.
Yeah. I signed an eyeball down there.
Yes,
They're probably full of piss. They wouldn't be bothered about what they are. Yeah, they are.
Have there ever been any weird requests other than to do this?
Well,
I like to sign something.
I signed an eyeball for the bloke on Thursday downtown, you know, the big autograph thing. And they've got these weird fans down there wear trench coats and they're covered in badges. And this guy said, will you sign my arm? And I kind of looked up and he went, popped it out in a glass arm.
As long as that's all they popped out.
Oh my God.
I got asked to sign someone's,
That
I got asked to sign someone's paper, when they were old paper driving licences, and we were up at Alden Park, so he's obviously scared. And he was really, his old paper driving licence, and he had 48 points on it. Yeah, and he wanted to sign it. I said, how are you not even in jail? And he was really proud. He got me to sign it, and then
48 points.
yeah, points. Yeah, he was dead chuffed.
That's actually impressive at that point, isn't it?
Fair play to that.
Yeah.
Obviously, with that Max barrier, we signed a few things as well.
Oh, yes.
Different things. So.
Two things.
A pair of things, yeah.
To be fair, my girlfriend Charlotte and I were looking for a model for you to sign earlier, and we said it might resort to that in the end, actually.
Right, come back room after us, we'll sign on. Talented. I think we're 50.
You put your price up.
Mate, I'm out scouting, I don't want to go low rent.
Jesus wept. Final question, boys. Was there anything that you ever wanted to race in but just never ended
You
up
haven't
in?
asked us about fighting or anything yet? Or is that later on?
That's later on with that. Ant's going to be the referee in the middle, that's him. Ant Davidson. What a referee to have. But is there anything you've raced you've not raced in?
He had a punch over the top of me, wouldn't he? As he in the knee. Right.
Poor Ant, he's got to come on after this. But did you ever sort of see a series or...
That was just after the incident.
There's a famous quote from this, actually. You two have said some interesting things to each other in time. And one thing, quote Matt Neal, was, I'm going to rip your f***ing face off. But
I remember on that. That's direct.
it was subtle. But I think one of the funniest things, I can't remember, there was a documentary or a show or something somewhere where you felt a bit laughing about what your dad said at the time.
Yeah, my old man was on his tiptoes, prancing round while all this was. There he is, look! Look at that evil for
God's sake, Barry, tell him stop it.
And that's my old man, the Silver Fox. And the guy on the left is Barry, Matt's TM at the time, and his team manager. And my old man's gone, Barry, get your man. Barry, tell your man to stop it.
God's sake, Barry, tell him stop it.
Say, Barry, tell your man to stop it.
Oh, really?
Where do you get that
You're
from?
good friends now.
Yeah, we are. Honestly, we are.
Well, that's the best bit about it, though, because you get to look back on two epic careers that you both had, come and do stuff like this and share the stories. It must be quite wonderful stuff.
You know, I think there's
Say no
something.
now.
We were always falling. Back then, you were always falling out with someone because it was your livelihood was on the line,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I mean, if I was falling out with Reedy, with Ivan, you were falling out with Alain, with Ivan, you know.
Dare I mention Phil Bennett?
No, but just you always because competition bred conflict, bred and everything. It's just that we're at each other for about a decade, which got a bit out of hand at points.
Do you know what? There is a great story. And it was only your dad, Rick, God bless him. We're at racing over in Long Deck Diamond. Something happened on that day. Team Dynamics got a bit gnarly about something we'd done. And there was a bit of shouting going on. So that Saturday night, I shot off into Dublin and found a mothercare, like Toys R Us, and I bought like a little pram and a load of toys. And then they got up first thing in the morning, went and tipped it all over in the pit lane outside their garage. And they called all the press and said, look, throw the toys out the pram. But there was all that sort of high drinks going on. I mean, I remember you guys got some cakes made, some cupcakes. I think FUCK Plato on it or something like that.
All this very love and war. All this very love and war.
Yeah, do you know?
No, at the height of it, the hatred wasn't real.
Yeah.
It wasn't just we've done stuff along the way, but a lot at the height of it, it was proper animosity.
Well, it's absolutely unreal to hear from you, gents. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but Matt and Jason will be back on stage later with Anne Davidson for a Q&A at the end of the day, but please give a massive round of applause to the wonderful side. Matt Davidson to play a big role.
You don't know, my award-winning book, which you've got a signed copy, you can't buy hardbacks anymore. I haven't got a few there, which I'm having to sign and sell. So if you fancy a book, come and sit in. I take cards and everything.
If you don't want to buy one of the books, it's okay, because I've run out of some firewood at home, and the room's empty.
Oh, that's
So
good.
I can always find a good use for them.
I'll be around there.
Jason and Matt, everybody.
Get your wine out.